Hey guys, it's Sensuki and welcome to my video reply to Shevek's post on the Obsidian forums. Now he's made a video in this post that has a bit of an indirect and passively aggressive attack at some of my posts, opinions and videos on the internet. And the videos that he's referring to are the Sensuki versus the Beatles and Sensuki versus Medreth videos where I use the default partying gear and pause a lot and sometimes complain about the melee engagement system. So I created this video to respond to some of the fallacies in his statements. So I'm going to start the video and then I'm going to stop and reply to the bits once I get up to them.
Hey folks, Shevek here. I wanted to go ahead and make another video for you guys. This is a little different than my last video. My last video was more of a tutorial for casual players who kind of wanted to get into normal and just kind of use what's in front of them and try to have some success. This video is a little different. On the forums, there's been a little bit of a hubbub over whether whether or not certain game systems and pillars of eternity need to be changed or removed or whatever. Specifically, the engagement system, which is sort of a very tame attack of opportunity system, where you get attacks of opportunity against one character that you're attacking. So FYI, what does that mean? Well, let's pretend that I'm fighting these four guys over here, that I'm this fighter and I'm fighting these four guys. If this were a typical attack of opportunity system, if I were to move through like this, all these guys would get free attacks on me. But what Pillars of Eternity does is let's assume that a couple of these guys are fighting this guy and a couple of these guys are fighting this guy. The only guys that would get free attacks, the only guys that would get free attacks on this fighter would be the ones that were targeting him. So you have to be kind of in engagement with something to be able to get attacks on it. And that really hasn't been mentioned too much in a lot of people's brouhaha over the system.
Okay, so this section of the video is mostly referring to my posts on the Obsidian forums because I've been the person driving the discussion, and I have the opinion that the melee engagement system is bad for the game and it probably should be removed. Now, what he's done here is he has talked about the attack of opportunity system in D&D 3 and 4, and he's talked about the melee engagement system in Pillars of Eternity. However, he's failed to mention a couple of things. The first difference between the two systems is not about how the systems work, but about how the attack resolution systems work in both of the games. Okay, so in Pillars of Eternity, it uses a different attack resolution system to the one that D&D uses, and it's a bit more absolute. And the way it works is that when accuracy minus defense equals 0, characters have a 5% chance to miss, 45% chance to graze, which is minus 50% damage or duration, 45% chance to hit, and 5% chance to crit. Now, when the accuracy is higher than defense, the chance to miss goes down until it gets to 0, which happens at +6, and then the chance to crit goes up. So when accuracy is higher than defense, you can get no chance to miss, less chance to graze, and each point increases the critical hit chance. When defense is higher than accuracy, your crit chance goes down. Sometimes you can have no chance to crit, and your miss chance keeps going up. Now, the game is currently balanced so that enemies have around about the same accuracy as party accuracy, or a little bit higher, and around about the same deflection, or a little bit higher. So usually their stats are either a little bit better than the party or around about the same. And so that means that hitting is pretty often, grazing is pretty often, and critting can happen quite a lot as well. And that also depends on a couple of other things that input into the system, like the conversion rates and stuff like that. There's like abilities like graze to hit chance and stuff like that. Now in D&D, sometimes attack of opportunities aren't a big deal because some classes can avoid them. I think barbarians and rogues have really good mobility in combat, and they can reduce the amount of attacks of opportunity that are against them. And also, due to the fact that how the to hit chance works. If you have a high AC, people are going to really struggle hitting you, and so it might be safe to do an attack to do a movement in combat, and you'll just get an AOO because hitting in D&D is more absolute. It's either a hit or a miss. There's no like in between, and a lot of the time the chance to hit something is either really high or really low. In Pillars of Eternity, it's not really like that. You'll find more often than not that you'll score a hit, and the way the game's currently balanced, most of the AOOs will probably be hits or crits. So the attack of opportunities are not they're not like a worse version of the D&D ones. There's actually a few reasons that makes the system penalise movement even more than the D&D system does. Another thing to mention is that the engagement system is an aggro mechanic. When you get engaged, it forces your character to attack the character that first engaged you. And this is one of the things that the Obsidian said that they weren't going to do when they were talking about melee stickiness. They said that they didn't want to use MMO-inspired systems because the backers didn't want them. Well, the auto-targeting of engagement is an aggro mechanic because it does determine who the enemy attacks. You can override your character's ones after it's already happened, but it does cancel your actions and make your character start attacking the enemy. And it also allows you to easily manipulate who enemies start targeting at the start of combat. Shevek also doesn't explain how targeting clauses works. In his example where he moved his fighter around, which enemy would be attacking would totally depend on how he opened up the encounter. Now, what he does in his video later on is he basically makes all of the enemies in the encounter attack his fighter because of positioning. There is no way to override that once combat has started because enemies don't reacquire targets. Once you've been engaged by someone, that is it. That's the highest level targeting clause there is. If you're engaged by a character, or if an enemy is engaged by one of your characters, they are not going to stop auto-attacking at all. They will just keep doing it. The next thing that he forgot to mention is that in D&D, attacks of opportunity have a limit to 1 per round. So his situation's only relevant if no one else nearby has moved in melee in the current round. So if the fighter's moved and then the rogue's moved, it's completely safe for the rogue to move because all of the other enemies will have used their attack of opportunity limit unless they have one of the feats that allows them to get the same amount as their base attacks. PE system has no limit to the amount of times that an enemy can make a disengagement attack against a unit, and this is exploitable. And I'll be talking about that in my official post about the engagement system, which I will probably release in a couple of weeks. That will be one of the topics under it. So you can actually chain disengagement attacks against the same unit. It's possible to do that. So in those things that I mentioned there make the system worse and even penalise movement even more than the system present in the Infinity Engine games.
Another thing that's been said is that the game is very difficult on hard, that you have to pause a lot, and so on. And I have to say nothing is further from the truth. Part of the problem with some people's opinions is that they're basing their opinions on a very flawed way of testing the game. They have a very flawed testing methodology. This is nothing against these individuals. I just feel that they're not really using a very logical approach when critiquing this game. When you create a party in standard Pillars of Eternity beta, you make one character and you get 4 NPCs. Unfortunately, the 4 NPCs are kind of built in this very generalized way where they're wishy-washy. They have a little bit of active skills, a little bit of passive skills, and anybody that knows anything about RPGs knows that you don't succeed by being wishy-washy most of the time. You succeed by making focused character builds.
Okay, I'm just going to pause it here. Okay, so he started off by saying that people are saying that the game is difficult on hard. Now that is a completely false statement, especially when referring to me and the other people that have been talking about hard difficulty and engagement in the same thread, which was, I think it was the casual player thread. No one has said that the game is difficult on hard. I think he might be referring to the fact that people feel the need to pause often on hard, which is not related to difficulty at all. The act of pausing actually removes the stress of having to perform actions quickly and accurately in a real-time environment, therefore actually removing difficulty from the game. Pausing often actually gives you, the player, an advantage each time it is done. People pause to minimize the cost of tactical and strategical resources that the party has, such as reducing the amount of health or endurance lost. The reason we are saying the game requires too much pausing is related to the fact that movement speed of enemies is really quick at the start of an encounter, and the fact that incoming damage from imbalanced abilities and maybe just general damage balance relative to character endurance and health amounts is not balanced properly. Stuff like that, anyway. You don't have to pause to react to incoming damage very often in the Infinity Engine games because of how the armor class and attack resolution system works, and of course the good balance of attacks and abilities. Now, the pausing in the Infinity Engine games, the pausing in Pillars of Eternity isn't pausing based on tactical decision making, because the decision you have to make when your character takes a huge amount of damage from, say, deep wounds, poison, or a really big hit from an enemy, is a binary choice. It's either let the character die or heal them. They're the only choices you have to make. The Infinity Engine games give you more time to react to incoming damage and have more tactical options available to you to solve these problems. Now, the assumption that people don't test with anything else but the BB party is a fallacy. Shevek has obviously watched a few of my Sensuki vs. the Beatles and Sensuki vs. Medreth Beatles and somehow gathers that I only play the game with the default party. This is not true. These videos exist to help people struggling with the game's combat and game systems. They are specifically aimed at demonstrating how to easily beat the encounters with the default party in gear, and to demonstrate that it is not hard and it is not challenging either. What he doesn't know is that I have 100 hours of logged in-game testing on Steam, and while much of that is isolated tests like the ones that I've been doing, a lot of that is playthroughs with various party compositions. I've done the full rogue playthrough, full party playthrough, many other playthroughs. I've modded the game to easily allow myself to use the party manager, which will be how you'll be swapping companions in the game in and out of combat, and I've modded the game to be able to cheat in items and experience as well. So if I wanted to playtest anything, I can do that. Now, Shevek has a specific playstyle preference. I don't really lean towards any of the classes. I don't really have a preference of how I play. I'm trying to systematically test all of the classes over the course of the beta to provide input as to how to improve them and balance them. I do not make videos of these playthroughs because there's no need to. Now I'm going to move on.
So I wanted to kind of show you guys, well, what if you were to build your guys up from level 1? What if you were to have a set of, a full party of characters which you make, and they are kind of built for whatever you want them to do, either to be fully active or fully passive. Now, because I wanted to address the concerns of people that, especially people that don't want to click a lot, that want that feel of the Infinity Engine games where they don't click a lot, I wanted to essentially make a party where I don't click a lot. I don't really do that much. I'll be pausing, but generally speaking, I'll be pausing in the, moments where I'll kill something and then I'll want to kind of switch targets. And I always think it's a good idea once something goes down to pause, kind of look at the battlefield, seeing what the best next target is, and so on. So let's give this a go here. We're going to start.
Okay, so what Shevek does here is he fights the Medreth encounter with his custom-made party, which includes an Amal fighter, an All-in barbarian, a fire godlike chanter, and I think three elves, a rogue, a cipher, and a priest. So I'm just going to fast forward this bit until after he's finished his encounter. So as you can see, he loses his fighter to Medreth, and I'm just going to play from here.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'll go from maybe here. So as you can see, he's lost one character.
Oh, it's so hard. I have to use so many skills. It's so difficult. I don't know. It's pretty easy, guys.
So for some reason, he thinks that pausing and using skills is difficulty.
And he's dead. And that's it. That's really all there is to it. Yeah, he went down. Doesn't matter, he gets right back up. Alright, so that was the Medrith fight. I'm going to kind of go to my save I have out here so we can kind of see what it's like. Okay, so after the Medrith fight,
So I'm just
I,
going to fast forward it now.
I'm in the Infinity and issues are issues of perception. This is, by the way, optimal. Fools complain.
We'll go from about here.
A lot of these issues are issues of perception. Alright, so here we go. Here's my fighter. Come on, Beetle. I'm right here, buddy. Come on. Oh, I didn't want to pull you. That's fine. I'm going to attack those guys. You cast your thing. So again, the start of the way, they don't get the bonus. But, I don't mind keeping them far away.
Okay,
now
so
you'll be noticing
he's taking damage every time.
Bam. So I guess
now we'll go to the Adra Beetle encounter.
Not a big deal, though. So this is as bad a pull as I'm ever going to do. Let's see how I do. Alright, so that guy died. We'll go there. Now I'm going to go for the Adra Beetle next because it's close. With the Adra Beetle? That's the Adra Beetle. So I'm going to go for the Adra Beetle next. It's close. It's
just fast forward a bit.
I think. Why not? Now,
his
I'm going to move. Now I have a choice here. I can let her go down. I can try to move. Apply self for an engagement attack. I think that's a tactical choice.
It's not a tactical choice though, because if he moves, he dies. That's not an option. Like, why? Your choice is either die or heal. They're the only two choices you have. Moving is not really a choice.
And maybe I'll go down. Yep, she went down. I'm okay with that. I think I deserve to. I deserve for that to happen. And they go down. Now, to me, that's not that much. That's not like excessive pausing. For some people it is. For me, it's not. I don't mind when a character goes down. I think that's part of this new game. I think one or two may go down, and that's okay. They're not dead. They're just knocked out. And I don't need to pause that much. I don't need to issue commands every 2 seconds. I do like to kind of stop and survey the battlefield when something goes down, but I don't think that's an issue.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it here. Now, as you noticed, he's taken a lot of damage. His fighter's already at half health, and has had a couple of characters knocked down. Now, I can play better than he can with the stock BB party and the stock gear than he does with his customized 6-man party. Before, he mentioned that the BB party is a bit wishy-washy. The BB fighter, BB rogue, and BB priest are all actually fairly effective characters. I reckon the wishy-washy claim is a complete laugh. The problem with those characters is their gear assignment. All you have to do is swap their gear around and they're fine. And the only real problem is the BB wizard spell selection. So perhaps Shevek just doesn't know how to utilize that party to their full potential. Picking active abilities often makes characters better, and he thinks that actually having to perform an action in combat equals difficulty, and/or that's the thing that I've been complaining about, that combat's difficult because I've been pausing a lot. I'm saying that there's not enough of a tactical challenge in the combat. The pausing is only because of the incoming damage. For D&D and other min-max systems, this statement is true if you follow a defined build. But the problem Shevek has is that he thinks that actions requiring the player to do something bad and prefers a more passive style of play. I wonder if he plays any games that aren't RPGs, like Dota 2 for instance. Some heroes have 4 active abilities, and those heroes can be absolutely amazing if played well, and the heroes that only have passive skills only really scale so far relative to player skill. In the IE games, you could click a lot, especially when you move your characters and change what they're doing based on tactical situations. PE actually removes a lot of this gameplay and reduces it down to standing there and queuing up actions over and over, kind of like the Knights of the Old Republic games, which is very boring. However, the KOTOR games don't really require you to target anyone with your abilities with the mouse, and that's really the only difference that I'm finding with the combat between PE and how you have to do that. It takes a little bit of time to, select characters, find the ability on the action bar, and then select the enemy or place the AoE in the game world where you want to target it. There's nothing wrong with clicking, and it does not coincide with difficulty. Shevek prefers playing on easy. He prefers easy-going gameplay and wants the enemies to roll over for him when he plays the game. He also has picked a couple of powerful heroes, or classes, sorry. Chanters are one of the most powerful classes in the game at the moment. Everything's a lot easier with one of them in the party. Druids and Ciphers and Chanters are the three most overpowered classes in the game at the moment. Ciphers have been toned down a little bit, and so have some of the Chanters' invocations, but they're still the best classes in the game because their passive buffs are insane, and the Ciphers' abilities have huge durations, and they're awesome. Now, I think losing a character is actually bad, and the reason is because you can reduce... if you lose a character in combat, that means you've taken 1 times or more than that the amount of endurance you have to health damage. Now, Shevek did lose a character, and in my opinion, that's playing bad. And he doesn't seem to understand the reasons for my testing videos, how to beat Medreth while suffering the least tactical and strategical losses to the party. So it doesn't seem as he's been listening to what we've been saying about, because the combat's, in my opinion, is boring and it doesn't really require any tactics. You can just stand there and do nothing and win, as he's demonstrated in his videos. The other thing you have to look out for in his videos is he performed one easy encounter and then a string of easy encounters with 2 different saves at full health. So if you play like he did, the adventuring day is going to be a lot shorter because of it. Shevek wants the game to be easy so he can stroll through the encounters auto-attacking, because that's the reason he plays like he does is probably because he finds that the full encounters are stressful against multiple enemies, and he demonstrates in his video where he loses characters against Medreth and the Beetles. If he's having that much trouble with a custom-built party on encounters that are easy for me with the stock BB party with no 6th character, then he's going to have problems throughout the rest of the game, as the content in the beta is underwhelming, according to Josh Sawyer. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make a series of videos using the same party that Shevek has and actually play the encounters properly in his passive style and show you how to do it without taking much health damage at all. Because I think that he's got a really big misconception about how I've been playing the game. So in the next video, I'm going to do that.